purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation as indicated on the agenda. If you would like to address the board, just fill out a yellow card and get that to Mrs. Warren before you speak. Welcome, everybody. Exciting week. I know a lot of you had really long days, so we'll make this wrap up pretty quickly, but welcome. You're always welcome to all of our school board meetings. And with that, we'll start with that. Oh, these are cool. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was perfect. Our first item of business this evening is our newest board member. Welcome, Tara Towner. She is replacing Kelly Barr, who had, she left the district, which left her seat empty. And so we will be swearing in Miss Tara. I think Dean is here from Morgan Boyne. Hello. Hello. And so our first agenda item is the oath of office for Tara.
Good afternoon. I introduced myself before. My name is Dean Lesenby. I'm an attorney at Morgan Boyne. And Kimmy said I'll be administering your oath. So if you would kindly stand and raise your right hand. It's a bit wordy, but we'll get through it.
I read it.
I, Tara Towner,
I, Tara Towner,
solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and State of Indiana.
and State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute the duties
I will faithfully execute the duties
of my office
as
as a member of this governing board,
a member of this governing board,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I will think always
I will think always
in terms of children first.
in terms of children first.
I will accept the responsibility,
I will accept the responsibility,
along with my fellow board members,
along with my fellow board members,
to see that the maximum
to see that the maximum
of facilities and resources
of facilities and resources
is provided for the proper functioning
is provided for the proper functioning
of the Concord school system.
of the Concord school system.
I will refuse to play politics
I will refuse to play politics
in either the traditional partisan
in either the traditional partisan
or in any other sense.
or in any other sense.
I will represent
I will represent
the entire Concord school community
the entire Concord school community
at all times.
at all times.
I will accept the responsibility
I will accept the responsibility
of becoming well-informed concerning the duties of board members
concerning the duties of board members
and the proper functions of public schools.
and the proper functions of public schools.
I will recognize responsibility
I will recognize responsibility
as a state official
as a state official
to seek the improvement of education
to seek the improvement of education
throughout the state of Indiana.
throughout the state of Indiana.
I will attempt to fairly appraise
I will attempt to fairly appraise
both the present and future educational needs
both the future and present educational needs
of the Concord community.
of the Concord community.
I will regard interpreting
I will regard interpreting
the aims and the methods of the Concord schools
the aims and the methods of the Concord schools
to the Concord community
to the Concord community
as a major responsibility of the board.
as a major responsibility of the board.
I will insist
I will insist
that all school business transactions
that all school business transactions
be on an open, ethical, and above board basis.
be on an open, ethical, and above board basis.
I will vigorously seek
I will vigorously seek
adequate financial support for
adequate financial support for
the Concord schools.
the Concord schools.
I will refuse to discuss
I will refuse to discuss
personnel matters or any other confidential business
personnel matters or any other confidential business
of the board in my home,
of the board in my home,
on the street,
on the street,
or in my office.
or in my office.
I will attempt to win
I will attempt to win
the community's confidence
the community's confidence
that all is being done
that all is being done
in the best interest of the school children
in the best interest of the school children
of the Concord Schools.
of the Concord Schools.
Let me be the first to welcome you to the Concord Community Board of Schools. Now you have to do that was a warm-up.
That's not an easy one to talk. That's the initiation, the hardest part.
That's the hardest part. I think
Drink
it's
coffee,
fun.
donuts.
Is there anything you would like to say?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad to be able to be here and be a part of the Concord Community School Board. We're relatively new to Concord. We've only been around for about 8 years, but our kids are my kids are sitting there in the front row with my husband, so Elijah and Eden. I've got an incoming 7th grader and an incoming 6th grader, and we have thoroughly enjoyed all of our years here at Concord. We've loved the little family that we've been able to create here and have found the teachers and the staff that we have interacted with exceptional. And so I'm glad to be a part of helping Concord continue to be a place that my kids love and continue to call home. So thanks for letting me be a part.
Thank you, family. I think you have a back to school event to go. Well, welcome. We'll hope to see more of you and enjoy going back to school. All right. With that vacancy, Kelly, Mrs. Barr was our secretary, and that left an opening of her seat. So we are reorganizing who was sitting in that seat, and I think there is a nomination open.
Motion to approve, since he's not here, Mr. Sponseller as the
Do we get some music? I have a motion and a motion from Mr. Yoder, a second from Mrs. Davis. Any comments or questions? All in favor of nominating Jared as secretary, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Lucky duck. He's not here, and there he gets. Okay. Is there any other parts? All right, thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda, which this evening includes minutes from 8/1/22, board workshop minutes from 8/1/22, executive session minutes from 8/11/22, accounts payable claims, payroll claims distribution summary report, donations high school, human resource report, and conference report. Motion. I second. I have a motion by Mrs. Davis, a second by Mrs. Towner. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Dr. Kendall, I think you have an introduction.
At this time, I would like to recognize and welcome our newest CCS PD officer, Al. He is our newest member, and he has served nearly 27 years in the South Bend PD. He was a member of the SWAT team for 13 years, a DEA liaison with the St. Joe County Drug Unit, a field training officer, and is a long-standing member of the South Bend PD Honor Guard. He's also a third-generation police officer, and we are fortunate for him to be joining our team. Welcome.
Thank you. Does he get the same one?
You know.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Kendall. Oh, you should have stayed up.
Yep. All right, so
We'll
now,
take the update, please, ma'am.
yes, now I'm going to turn it over to Chief Riddle, who will work you through a safety update, which is imperative with the start of the school year. And I was actually over at Oxbow's back to school night right before this. And like in the summer, you talk about school in theory, and it's like you see the children back, and it kind of takes your breath away. And then it's like, okay, the reason we're here are the kids, and we want to keep them safe. That's number one. So before he starts, really quick, I know he's going to introduce what I'm kind of stealing your thunder a little bit. So we have Chief Riddle here, obviously, who will be working with all of the buildings Then we have Officer Dolinsky, who will be in the junior high. And then Officer Schumann will be in the high school. And yes, you will basically be in all the buildings, but your
Absolutely.
primary space will be K6.
I thought that was kind of a plus for me to stay within CIS and be able to work K through 6, be able to be available at the junior high and the high school when needed. And like I told Mr. Funston when I asked to be the next chief, when I first came here a year ago, I didn't think, I knew I was gonna like this job, but when I got into the elementary schools and started hanging out with the little ones, I fell in love with this job. So I really wanted to stay K through 6, and they've been very supportive. All right.
You look like recess, right?
What's that? Well, I'm an all-time quarterback at Oxbow and Eastside. I want to continue that. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to the board for their continued support of CCSPD. I also want to thank the administration, the staff, everyone in the district towards the end of the school year last year. When I was flying solo for about 2 or 3 months, I was doing my best to kind of get to all the buildings, take care of some of the cases that came by, and all the principals, all the staff, the counselors, teachers knew that I was kind of flying solo for a little while, and they understood. They were very supportive, so I want to say thank you to all of them also. Training during the summer, both myself, Al, and Eric had the ability to go to the INTRO conference in Michigan City. During that time, we listened to at least 3 speakers there that had firsthand experience with critical incidents in schools, with SWAT teams and taking care of those situations. And the theme of the conference, as the speakers spoke, they looked out into the audience of police officers and school resource officers, and they basically threw out the quote, "Are you going to be ready if you're asked upon to become a police officer and keep kids safe and keep staff safe?" They kind of threw that out. And coming away from that conference, I'm going to skip down to the training that we did inside the buildings. We had an opportunity to spend time together for a whole day going throughout our buildings, and basically, well, Al's never been in any of our buildings, so we trained, we went through the buildings, we spoke with one another, and we came up with plans and strategies to implement if a active shooter incident were to happen inside one of our schools. And you hear sometimes where schools cost a lot of money, but the time that we spent together for a full day was it had a very positive influence, and it covered a lot of ground as to things that I don't think have been covered yet since I've been here. I then went to Alice training, and during the Alice training, it was plain and simple. They reaffirmed that the doors in the classrooms, the doors in the perimeter of our schools, they have to remain closed and locked at all times because of the times that we live in, and it's just statistically showing that is the way to keep our kids safe and our staff safe. So another thing I started and was doing 2 weeks ago, I started doing the school safety checklist, and I was using one that had been used before. And after about 2 or 3 visits with principals and vice principals, I quickly found out that it was a very bulky, long-reading document that really didn't fit our needs here at Concord. So I took a day, I took a break, and then I took a day looking through other checklists in the country, and I found one that came a lot closer to us as Concord and meeting our needs as a safety and security checklist. And I went ahead and brought that on, and I finished the last 2 buildings last week, and all of the principals and the vice principals that I spoke with that new checklist absolutely loved it. And it was a lot better and easier to go about getting those done. Some of the safety protocols or safety events that I've been doing already in the district. I've been talking a lot about Alice. Friday, myself and Dr. Kendall with the new teachers, I taught my first Alice class to the new teachers. I don't think I did too bad. I was a little wordy at times and fumbled and stumbled a little bit when we got through it. And currently right now, today and tomorrow, we're holding question and answers for any staff that wants to volunteer to come to one of those sessions. Because we were receiving some emails towards the summer or end of summer from teachers in the district that had some concerns after what happened in Texas. So Dr. Kendall and I had a conversation, and I'm one that to be able to, I like to talk to people. I like to, if there's something wrong, if there's something that needs to be said, if there's a problem that needs to be solved, I want to solve it firsthand and talk to people. So we came up with the idea with this question and answer, and hopefully some faculty and staff take an opportunity to come talk to us. I'll be holding my first school safety committee meeting in September, and during that time, we'll be going over the school safety or the checklist at a specific school, and I'll be bringing in some Alice training for the tabletop exercise. And myself, Al, and Eric will be getting into our schools. We met with the junior high staff. They're going to set up a time with Al. Eric and I will be talking to the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, going over Alice, going over digital citizenship and bullying and such topics as that. The offsite reunification plan was one of my first things that Dr. Kendall brought to my table. And when we were in Michigan City, we had the pleasure of listening to the owner of the I Love You Guys Foundation. I understand that that's been used before here in the district. So after listening to that gentleman, I thought I would bring that information back to the district. And then during the course of the year, this year, we're going to have 4 meetings. And I'm going to spearhead these meetings. However, this has definitely got to be a collaborative effort within everyone in the district to have these 2 offsite reunification plans work and the logistics of and make them come to fruition. After the 4 meetings, I would like to try to aim for a district-wide drill in the summer of 2023 with all the stakeholders and all the county emergency agencies that would be helping us with those off-site reunification plans. And right now, as we speak, I have 2 sites secured for the reunification. I also kind of took a look at some of our equipment, and with the help of Dr. Kendall, I was able to purchase some push bags. What push bags are bags that are going to hold tactical equipment and tactical medical supplies. Both will be in our offices and our vehicles in the event a critical incident were to happen. And it's something that I'm sure Al would agree that in SWAT situations, having that type of equipment on hand while you're going towards a critical incident, it's very important. I was also able to get a hold of some tactical lighting gear for some of our tactical gear. And as we speak, we have now tourniquets on our web vests. All CCS PD officers will have those. The tourniquets is just a standard piece of equipment now in law enforcement, whatever type of incident. It's just a good first aid tool to have on your person, and I thought it was necessary to have. Any questions?
Who sits on your district school safety committee?
Pardon me?
What's the committee? Who sits on your committee, the school safety committee?
There's a long list of people.
It's a lot of department heads, whether it be, director of facilities, you have nurses, tech people and such, as well as principals. So it's a wide array. It's essentially all the people that we'll need in place should something critical happen.
I had to go to an emergency call.
Call a friend.
I had to call a friend.
At one point in time, and it made sense, and maybe this is still the case, and I misunderstood you, but it was kind of like that committee should know our plan, but not necessarily the whole world knowing our
Good
plan.
point. So you're talking about reunification?
Correct.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
those I guess I was just curious then, like,
Yes.
who will know what, and is that still a practice that the people that should
Right.
know?
The reunification meetings are going to be more select few versus the district-wide school safety.
Yeah.
So, and the people that will be in that reunification meeting will be informed. I'm not going to tell them of the sites up until, I don't know, I'm going to have that discussion with Dr. Kendall. Because you're right, those sites should remain secret of some sort.
Right.
So I'm still reading up on that and learning about it. That you're absolutely right. Those will remain secret until I feel that it's necessary.
Those are not community meetings.
No.
Okay.
No. And I also told the people that I reached out to for those two sites of how they should remain silent about it and not tell anyone about it. They were. Yeah.
Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for making
Yeah, absolutely.
my brain calm down.
I will say, I don't even know what those are, and he was really straight-laced about that, like,
Yeah.
it's just not widely shared.
And that's just one thing that I learned in Michigan City with the gentleman with I Love You Foundation. That
Yeah, that makes, I don't want to know.
At some point, could you highlight the training that bus drivers are getting? Doesn't have to.
Yes, unfortunately, my schedule, I was not able to get with Josh. We tried 3 different time frames. So I think they meet every Friday, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get over there on the very first Friday that's available to them. We'll make that happen before the Wednesday.
Very good. Well,
Mhm.
thank you for
Thank
all of
you.
your time
Thank
and
you for your support.
okay, that brings us to item 5.1, in consideration of an appointment of Director of Technology, Mr. Myers.
I'm gonna preempt that just a little
Oh,
bit.
sorry.
I won't steal your thunder, I promise. Just to make the board and everybody else aware that we've made some changes on kind of who's overseeing technology in our office. And so with some changes that have happened, Dr. Kendall is overseeing transportation now, is doing a great job with that. And then Ken will be overseeing technology. So we're gonna let him make the introduction tonight.
But I am not going to be the technology director.
No. I'd help us.
We're hired, yes. Tonight, I am pleased to bring Tyler Stevens as our recommendation to fill the open Director of Technology position. Mr. Stevens is certainly well known throughout the district, having taught 3rd grade before serving as a digital learning specialist over the past few years, working with most of our staff at Concord. As part of this job, he and Kelly Weldy have worked behind the scenes to ensure our systems are in place while also providing professional development to show our teachers, students, and administrators how to learn, how to use learning management systems, device selection and support, troubleshooting in classrooms, instructional technology, and a long list of other items. Personally, Mr. Stevens and I have worked together on different projects, and I really appreciate that he is always willing to listen, offer suggestions, collaborate, and think creatively. Most importantly, he has a heart of service for our students and staff that will remain at the forefront as he makes decisions to guide technology use in our district. With that in mind, we bring his recommendation to you for approval as our Director of Technology.
Motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Mr. Yoder, a second by Mrs. Davis. Any comments or questions for Mr. Myers? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, welcome.
Thank you.
He's running the meeting, that would have been really awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Myers, yes, textbook rental fees.
Yes, thank you. Every year we look at our curricular costs throughout each grade level, and so tonight I'm bringing
our K-6 textbook rental fee recommendation to you. We are seeing an increase in terms of the cost for most of our grades, but those fees do sit, as we compare area districts, sit somewhere in the middle of other area districts. And so with that, I ask for your approval of these fees.
Motion to approve the K through 6th grade textbook rental fees. I have a motion by Mrs. Davis, a second by Mrs. Towner. Any comments or questions for Mr. Myers?
Just generic question, 6th grade seems a little less expensive, or just, can you detail?
Yeah, so it's one thing that's a little bit different for our 6th grade. As we have an intermediate school with 5th and 6th grade, a lot of school districts around the country are in middle school formats. And so our new literacy program that we just approved recently is a more of a digital resource, and so therefore the paper costs and those kinds of things are not there as much. We also use a social studies text that is free use, so we gather those items through different free use areas, and we feel like that better suits our social studies content.
Thank you.
I would just want to add one thing, that ISBA and the Superintendent Association, they're developing their points for the upcoming legislative session. And Indiana is one of only 7 states that charge textbook rental to our families. In Indiana, I think Indiana is one of 2 that fully charges textbook fees to our families. And so with the surplus that the legislature has, I know that we will be doing some lobbying on behalf of our community, our families, to get textbook rental paid for as part of the surplus the state has. So we'll see how far we get with that. It comes up every year and hasn't gone anywhere, but maybe this year with some money, it'll go somewhere.
Very good. Anything else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Oh, you're up again. Yep. I put a check mark by you already, so that's right. 5.3, kindergarten enrollment section, please.
Yeah, so we continually are watching our enrollment numbers, and our enrollment numbers in K4 are a little bit higher in some of our classes than we've seen in the last few years, specifically in kindergarten. So tonight we have a lot of back to school events. We've had families coming through today, and we sure will tomorrow enrolling students. And so with those unknowns, we're asking for permission to hire another kindergarten teacher, should that need arise.
Probably the biggest challenge we face is that there's 3 weeks between today and our next board meeting. And so if we end up with 30 kids in the kindergarten class, we're just asking for permission to take action if we need to.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Davis, a second by Mr. Yoder. Any comments or questions for Mr. Myers? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When we actually have people in seats on Wednesday and Thursday, we'll make sure that you guys have the numbers.
Nixon, Basher contract renewal.
Yes, I just want to take a moment and review the proposed Basher contract for the 2022-2023 school year. Basher always provides us a setting for those students who struggle in the classroom. Their educational setting is much more structured and behavior-based. They have 2 separate programs. One is the BEAT program, which is for K-6, and then the BAS program serves 7 through 12. We're going to continue to have 3 slots is the suggestion at this time. One of those slots will be in the BEAT program, which is the K-6. The other 2 slots will be in the BAS program, 7 through 12. Basher has always worked really well with us and been very flexible throughout the year. We need to kind of move those slots around, but that just allows us to know that we have those 3 slots with them. So at this time, I would just like to ask for the board's approval for the two contracts with Asher, one being the BEAT program and one being the FAST program.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Yoder, a second by Mrs. Towner. Any comments or questions for Mrs. Nixon? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good, thank you so much for your time. Mr. Funston, would you like us to think of some meetings?
Yeah, so we would just like to get, especially just, for the second semester of this school year, I'd like to get those out to folks so they can put that on their calendars. And so just ask for your approval, second reading on the calendar for 2023.
Motion to approve the 2023 board meeting schedule.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Davis, a second by Mrs. Towner. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Guess we can meet. Mr. Funston, board policy.
So this would be the second and final reading on the public participation updates. Again, we have a little committee that meets with Viola, Mrs. Davis, myself, Mr. Boyer, and Mrs. Warren here, and we go through and hear the updates. This is one that's kind of at the top of the list because the legislature passed the law in the last section that requires some small changes. Probably the biggest change you'll see, and we've really already been doing it, is that public comment comes at the beginning of the meeting as well. And then probably the only other change would be that if there are more people than minutes provide for public comment during that time, people can be limited to under 3 minutes if it's required to be able to let everybody have a chance to talk. So. Or the board could vote to add extra time to. So those are the two major changes that we have in that. So I just ask for your approval to keep us legal.
Do I understand that that can be a meeting decision?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. After we know how many yellow cards.
Motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Mr. Yoder, a second by Mrs. Davis. Any comments or questions for Mr. Funston? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Very good. Mr. Evans, financial report.
Thank you, Mrs. Wade. The annual financial report is something that, or with the exception, Sarah is very probably familiar to you, but and most of the information that's contained in the report is information that you've seen throughout the last year or 2 year and a half. However, it is kind of a nice handy synopsis, a lot of information about what happens within the school corporation that's in one place. As I mentioned in the notes, this will be posted on our website and will be available at any time for people who have questions about the school corporation's finances. So, having said that, I would don't know that you want to go through line by line of all the 10 different portions of the report, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
I can make a motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Mr. Yoder, a second by Mrs. Davis. Any comments or questions for Mr. Evans? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Thank you. I know a lot of time continues to go into all of this, and you are here always, and so I just want to thank you for all of your time that you put into helping us understand
I
this.
appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Is there any sharing from the board this evening?
I know we said thank you at the top of this program, but thank you to everyone who put our new teacher program on. That's a lot of time. Jacob was talking to some of his classmates, and they're sharing, they just get keys and go, and Jacob's like, that doesn't happen in Concord. So appreciate the time that's put into that, so thank you all.
It was a nice afternoon. Brent Talker did a good job. Everybody put that together. It was beautiful.
And Mrs. Good picked up a substitute teacher for us while we were there.
Yes. All right.
Signed the contract on the spot. She said yes.
Well, we're missing Jared tonight. He's under the weather, but we're excited for his new role as secretary. And again, welcome Tara. She has been, as Dan likes to say, drinking from the fire hose of information coming at her. So far we haven't scared her away, and she just took the longest oath ever. So I feel like it's official. Anybody else? Superintendent's report.
Yeah, so I just have quite a few thank yous I want to run through and you know, make sure we do this tomorrow at our opening ceremony as well. But a lot of people have done a lot of hard work this summer to make sure that we're ready for the school year. So first I want to thank everybody that helped with Camp Concord, Jumpstart, and summer school. It was a success this summer. Had a lot of kids go through, having a lot of fun, especially at Camp Concord. And it was really nice last week to be able to see the kindergartners come in and get to spend a little time with their teachers, you know, before the school year starts. So our building services, our custodial grounds, maintenance, Jeff's whole crew, for having our buildings and grounds ready to go. They've been moving furniture. I mean, it's not just cleaning things, but it's, you know, it's moving things as people come in. And today was probably, I know Jeff and I met at 8 o'clock this morning, and he'd already probably had 50 emails for requests for things. So I want to thank them, our office staffs for supporting the work of the buildings, having everything organized for the teachers coming in. Transportation department for having our routes ready early. So that is a unique thing. Typically that our principals have been receiving that, and that's happened kind of tactically. And Lisa and the transportation department worked hard to make sure that was going to happen early this year. Got us off to a good start. Then I'd also say the transportation department spent time with Lisa and some of the assistant principals, making sure that we get off to a strong start with relationships with our bus drivers, and got a chance to observe a little bit of that last week, and our bus drivers seem ready to go. So our technology department, we're working extremely hard through this transition that we've had in one of the busiest times of year. They've just been working really hard to make sure everything's taken care of, and I don't think much, if anything, has fallen off during that time. So food service staff are prepping to feed 4,000 to 5,000 students on Wednesday. We feed a lot of people, and also preparing for tomorrow. Our police officers, as Chief Riddle mentioned, participated in a lot of training this summer. I know there are a lot of conversations about ensuring that we keep our kids safe and how we best do that this school year. So Chief Riddle takes the job seriously, and I want to thank him for that. Our building administrators were working hard all summer. I don't know, Mr. Boyer, how many openings we have left, but it's very minimal in terms of teaching staff. You guys know we got out the door early with that, and our principals worked really hard to get people hired for this upcoming school year and put us in a really good position so that when we do have a few that change, you know, over the summer, we were able to fill those pretty quickly. So I thank all of our principals for working really hard on that. I just have a few more. Our education center staff, people worked really hard in this office this summer. They were here late when they needed to. They were here early if they needed to. A lot of people have asked, what do you guys do over the summer? And basically prepared for 10 months of school in the 2-month period. You know, so a lot happens during that time. Thank everybody for that. Thank our teachers. We have hundreds of teachers who attended training this summer to make sure that they're ready for the school year. For the Modern Classroom Project, I think we had almost 100 teachers go through that to improve our blended learning environments. Our reading programs, the Myers had teachers in all summer preparing for our reading program. And then just a lot of other trainings to benefit our kids. And so, and then, you know, as I'm driving around, even, you know, being close to the junior high, I get to drive by that parking lot a lot of times late at night. And it's been incredible to see how many teacher cars have been in our parking lots over the last couple of weeks, making sure that we're ready for school. And it's been on the weekends. There were 6 or 7 cars at the junior high over the weekend getting ready for school. And so I want to thank our teachers for that. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting some of them, but it's just a reminder that it takes a community of employees, a community of people to make sure we're supporting our kids and supporting our staff. And I think it should make all of us real proud of how our people have worked. So just a couple other things. We have our beginning of the year kickoff tomorrow morning, 7:30. There will be warm breakfast. They must have found some sausage from somewhere. We're going to have some eggs and sausage tomorrow. I think there will be some donuts for people who like donuts as well. So 7:30 in the cafeteria, 8:15 program in the BPAC. I hear there's going to be a really cool kickoff to that. Maybe a little surprise to everybody. No, it's not the new Notre Dame football coach, but you know. And then we have Kelly Barr's reception here next Wednesday at the Ed Center from 3 to 5. And so anybody that'd like to wish Kelly well, hopefully we still see her around some, but we'll have the opportunity to do that. So, and then we will have our technology workshop in the middle conference room 5 minutes after this meeting adjourns. So.
Move on.
That's it.
Very good. Will you go over our upcoming board meeting schedule, please?
Yeah, so we've got the workshop immediately following this meeting. On August 29th, we'll be meeting here at 5 o'clock to conduct the executive session that we were going to conduct today. But for delay of some information, we moved that to the 29th. Jim will have his budget workshop at 5 on September 6th here at the Ed Center, and then we have a regular meeting at 6 on that day. And then we'll come back on the 19th for a workshop at the high school. Remember, that's when we're going to tour the new Concord Engineering and Construction Center. So, yeah.
Very good. Thank you. I'd like to again thank everybody who presented or participated in the meeting this evening and everybody who joined. Meeting adjourned at 6:43 p.m.
20 minutes of that, let's go.
So let's do here.
Well, then you guys can